All right, everybody. Hey, we are back from our midday break here. We're going to be rocking and rolling along here on our masterclass here for Wholesaling Notes. Hopefully you had a great AM session here. I'd love to see what the biggest aha or the biggest takeaway you had from our first few hours today on what was important. We talked about building a list. We talked about protecting your list. We talked about finding deals, and then also the profits kind of that you can expect. But wholesaling, basically, you can get what you ask for if the deal will allow it, is the number one thing. And you won't know that until you add some of your own value to the deal by doing your own due diligence, knowing what the values of the asset is worth, running some numbers on that stuff just to get a bit of an idea. You don't have to do a full due diligence package. No, don't waste your time with that. But there are some things you can do, obviously, to get rock and roll. But we'd love to share, what your biggest nugget, biggest aha, no matter how small it was. For some folks, like, oh, I didn't know you can download that list. Or, hey, thanks for sharing a couple of places to find some deals, or how to jump on the Netra online. That's what I think Scott Sales online on YouTube liked. So anyway, let's get rock and rolling here back so that we can get kicking ass and taking some names again here this afternoon with the rest of the sessions here for you. I think we're on part 5, I think, is where we're at today. Now, protecting your deals. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly where we're at. All right. So new share. All right. Well, that's not where we're supposed to be. Sorry. We already discussed that. Come on now. There we go. All right. Somebody said something down here. Not requesting the LOI and POF at first was great info. Yeah, Don White. Yeah, exactly. And that's the cardinal rule that most people make the mistake of right off the bat. Hey, I need a letter of intent and a proof of funds. No, you don't. Just send me the damn list. I don't know if it's, and I'm always, there's a website of their Dev Expert. I just think it's a waste of freaking time because they want you to jump through all these damn hoops. 30 questions, got to go through a 15-minute value. I'm like, no, I'm not wasting my time. I don't even know if you have anything. Okay. Fred liked actually seeing you go through the notes location process was a big help. Okay, cool, good. I'm glad you like that, Fred. Yeah, I mean, look, there's plenty of deals out there. Now let's get into the aspect of how to protect your deals to make sure on there. Now, this is something that's pretty simple. It kind of goes in not asking you. Now, you will probably, most banks, most lenders will make you sign a non-disclosure agreement on the front end. Like most of the websites make you sign a blanket non-disclosure agreement, okay? Now, here's the thing. If you're looking to raise capital or you're looking to market the deal to wholesale, don't say wholesaling in your ad, especially if it's any chance that your potential seller will see you, okay? Don't say you're looking for, hey, I've got a deal available. Or, this is why building your own warm list and text message list or hot list is much more effective than just mass marketing to the websites out there, the social media stuff. Okay. Now, here's the thing. It's okay for you to share the details of the deal. Just don't put the address out there. I had a student, Ellen, years ago. She got this great commercial property under contract, but she didn't have any money. So she was trying to flip it. What did she do? She got the source. She originally made a contact on LinkedIn, and then she went on LinkedIn, shared the address, the picture of trying to market. So I'm looking at a wholesale list deal, and the asset manager saw it. And she's like, oh my God, I screwed up. I'm like, yeah, you really did screw up. You just lost a source there because he blacklisted her. He canceled her offering because she really wasn't trying to buy it. Okay. Now here's a couple of things that the reason they make you sign a non-disclosure agreement. First and foremost, they don't want you blasting out the borrower's information. The borrower's, first name, last name, what's behind, how far behind they are. That's a no-no. Okay. You're going to be privy to social security numbers, payment history, stuff like that. And of course, the bank or seller's name. Okay. Those are the things that you're basically signing off, and then not to blast it out across just everywhere. It's okay to share it with a few people or remove the address and talk, hey, I'm looking for aspect of this. I've got this deal and we're going to be interested in partnering on it. Okay. RJ liked breaking down what to ask the note buyer and building my buyer list. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing, RJ. Good stuff. So protect your sources, okay? If somebody comes to you, make potential buyers, okay? When you post a deal on Facebook or social or list, stuff like that. When people come back and say, hey, can I get the full information? that's when you would have them sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. And we'll go through all those documents for you. And it's a simple non-disclosure agreement, great. Now, you may also depend on if it's how competitive they are. If they're a wholesaler themselves, you may want to, instead of something a non-disclosure agreement, especially if you're pulling deals from different websites, you may want them to sign a non-compete, non-disclosure agreement. It's different. A non-disclosure just means you're non-disclosure. A non-compete means they're not going to go around you for 2 years. If they do, they still are going to owe you 1% or 3 points, somewhere between there. They're still, even if you sell the asset to them, they're going to pay you 2 to 3 points for every asset they close going forward for a matter of a year, 2 years. Some people put 5 years down or 5,000 fine. That's just getting ridiculous. 1 year, 2 year, okay, great. Now I'll sign an NCND. I don't care if it's a new source, but if I'm already direct to that source, I'm say, listen, I'm already direct to this seller. I don't mind paying you your points on this deal, but I've already get their list on a regular basis. I'm not going to pay going forward. Okay, so that's the thing. And then we've got a sample NDA and a sample NCND that you can get pretty easy to download. We'll share those with you and go through that later on. Okay, but that's one of the most important things you got to do is you're going to have to sign an NDA. It's okay to market, but just don't share the address. Don't go, if you made the connection with the borrower or the bank or the seller on LinkedIn, do not go post it back to LinkedIn. Okay. If there's multiple photos, and they shared a prospectus with one photo, don't use that photo on the same spot. Go find another street view, something that looks different so that their eyes are like, oh, that looks familiar. Okay. Very important. And now if a person won't sign the NDA, ask them, why won't you sign it? Well, for me, look, if you're going to send me a deal to look at, I'm not going to sign an NDA. If I reach out to you and say, hey, can I get more information on this? And I don't know the full address, don't know the details. I'm not going to sign an NDA if I already know all the details. Okay, that's stupid. It's just ignoramus. Okay. But if I don't know the source, or you haven't provided the address, I don't mind signing an NDA. I don't mind signing a non-compete and I'll put that as long as I'm not already direct to the seller. Okay. So these are forms you keep. You basically just swap out a name, swap out a place for them to sign. They send it to you, hold it on file, especially non-compete. If somebody's not going to follow through with a non-compete, what are you going to do? Sue them? No, you're not going to sue them for $3 to $5 grand. It's stupid, but it's just part of what you have. Now, you don't see me saying anywhere here about proof of funds. I do not require proof of funds until somebody actually makes an offering, okay? Because if I have an asset under contract and I need to close in 30 days, I'm going to make them proof up before I accept their offering. And they're not just going to submit, like somebody wanted to buy a note for 100 grand from me and they only proofed up for 50 grand. I'm like, no offense, I do not take this. This is not serious. And sure enough, he wasn't trying to buy, he's trying to wholesale. And I'm like, you haven't even proofed up for the full amount of the fund. So your bid is not complete. We do not recognize your bid because you have not proofed up on the funds that you can provide. And I don't care if people provide a pledge letter or a bank statement or a letter from Equity Trust or their self-directed IRA showing a proof of funds. I'm completely fine with that. But protecting your sources and your profits, an NDA, if it's with a buyer, and you will have to sign an NDA. Make people sign an NDA or a non-compete, non-disclosure, especially if you're dealing with a public place. If it's a bank, they're not going to be able to go around you most times and do that because you have it under contract. If you've got the asset under contract, great, an NDA. If you have just basically are trying to find a buyer before putting the asset in contract, then a non-compete, non-disclosure is what you definitely want to have in place. And the minute they submit an offering, you better go out or better start that process of making an offering if you've got people that are interested. Okay. You can get away with an NDA to review stuff, but minute you start sharing more information, if you don't have that asset under contract and they do go around you, which happens a lot in traditional real estate investing or traditional real estate wholesaling deals, because it's easy to find the seller of it. With the note deals, you may have a relationship with them. And that's why I say, just if you're going to wholesale a deal, put it under contract, find out what they want, what you're marketing at below it. If it makes sense, put it under contract. You always cancel the contract during your due diligence period if nobody comes to the table. Okay. But then have your people sign an NCND. You'll have people that will sometimes send you a spreadsheet with what's called a sanitized list where the addresses are removed. Look, just send me the full address. What do I need to sign? An NDA. I'm not going to go around you. Send me the full sanitized list and go through that. And that's a sign. If somebody's sending you a sanitized list, they're brokering it. They're wholesaling the deal. Okay. Me, if somebody calls me up and wants to buy notes and they will let myself, I'll send them the whole list. I'm not going to sanitize it and remove the addresses off the street number so they can't actually do any due diligence. If you're going to do an NCND, just do, you can say 1 to 3 points, 3 points for non-performing, 1 point for performing for a period of 24 months, anything they buy from the source. Allison asked the question, what did you say to charge the other wholesaler and for how long? Or not just the wholesaler, the other buyer, your buyer, if you're going to have them sign an NCND, non-compete, non-disclosure, 3 points on anything that's funded in the next 24 months or 1 point on anything funded on performing side in the next 24 months. Okay. Maybe it's 6 months. Maybe it's just 12 months. It all varies and can all be negotiated. Okay. All right, let's get into the fun nitty gritty here. Okay. So part 6 is all about contracts and paperwork. And and what I did is I've pulled quite a bit of stuff together that I want to go through. Now, a loan sale agreement, I'm not going to go through a loan sale agreement. I'm not going to go through a traditional real estate contract. Those things you need to go and look at. But what I wanted to go through is kind of the paperwork of what to look at or how to kind of secure that stuff for you and protect yourself. So that's what I wanted to go through. Let me go on here and pull it up here. Wholesale class. Okay. Now, the first document I want to share with you, I'm going to pull this up. All right. So here's a document and you'll have a copy. This is actually a copy that's been in our Note Buying for Dummies course. Some people may not know that, but this is an assignment of mortgage purchase agreement. Okay. And basically it outlines that I had a note under contract. Okay. For $6,000 and that Mike Ganster, who was the investor at the time, agreed to pay me $6,000. All right. And I also, let me go here. Had the contract. Actually, let me do that. Yeah, assignment. Let me. I had this in here twice. There we go. This is better. All right. New share. All right. So I had this. Wells Fargo Financial sent me a portfolio note, made a bunch of offers on them, and I had this one. If I believe, note wholesaling agreement. Yeah, exactly. So my profit on this deal is $6,000. Okay. So Mike was glad to pay me $10,000 for the note. So I made $6,000 on a $4,000. Now it was not the most excitable thing. It was a pretty cheap asset. This was in Jacksonville in Duval County, state of Florida. And basically what you can see here is there's 2 documents on here: assignment of mortgage purchase agreement. That basically I'm assigning the purchase agreement that I had with Wells Fargo to him, okay, for the sum of $6,000. That's my profit, okay? Then I also down here have the note wholesaling agreement, which is the total purchase price. So I did assignment of the contract and then a wholesale agreement where he's going to pay $10,000 total, and he agreed to wire. Buyers agreed to deposit $10,000 in an escrow account agreed upon buyer and seller. Upon proof of the deposit, seller will provide the escrow company attorney wire instructions for $4,000 to be wired to the lender for the purchase of the note. The remaining $6,000 will remain in escrow until seller receives an assignment of mortgage purchase agreement, basically transferring the sale. So he agreed. He wired $10,000 to an escrow account, which is what you're going to be using most of the time for sellers. You're going to want to find a real estate attorney who will open an escrow account. They'll usually charge you $500. Okay. And what I did is when Mike signed on the wholesaling agreement of this to agree to the $10,000, I then sent over the copy of the contract and that assignment of the mortgage agreement here basically is what I said. This was document number 2. This is document number 1. So the note wholesaling agreement, he agreed to $10,000. He agreed to take that and then the wire. We agreed to the transfer. He wired $10,000 escrow. I then basically gave him all the due diligence documents. He was happy with that, the original note, all that stuff that Wells Fargo had provided me. Okay. And then that's it. Basically, as soon as an assignment of mortgage was received, when he bought the note, Wells Fargo overnighted an assignment of mortgage to him. And I gave them instructions. Hey, we sold this contract off. You're going to want to fill out this, have the information go to Mike Gangsters LLC. So as soon as he received that, we saw the FedEx label with it being received. He verified he received it. Then we basically then called the escrow attorney and said, okay, he's received the documentations. You can release the funds to us, and he wired. So basically, instead of making $6,000, we made $5,500 because the $500 fee for the escrow account. Okay, so this goes back a little bit of the ways. This goes back to 2006 is one of the notes that we did when we bought a bunch from Wells Fargo Financial back then. They had a bunch of low value stuff that they wanted to get rid of. And we bought, but that's what we did. We basically put them under contract for cheap at 4. We found somebody who was willing to pay 10 for it. It was a $6,000 profit. For Mike, it was a good deal as well. And both of these documents, so you can kind of see, you get a wholesaling agreement in place, then you send them assignment of the sales contract when the, and then they sign off on them. When the wire is received, then the funds are released, and then you go from there. But the same thing on the loan sale agreement, Mike was aware that he had to close by a specific day. Okay. And actually he did, if I remember correctly, he did most of his due diligence before agreeing to this. When he agreed to it, then he just basically sent it in, wired, and boom, it went up the next day. Okay. So the next document I want to share with you guys. I'm going to share that. Here's the, here we go. Here's our normal non-disclosure agreement. It's pretty simple for you. Not difficult at all. Some of you may have even signed this, but we've been using this, like the most recent one. Let me pull it up here. Okay. Same thing. If you need one, I'm glad to send it to you. We got it where it just automatically updates on the date up here. But you see, it's just basically disclosure. It's only 2 pages long. Doesn't need to notarize. You just basically have the reviewer and the person that you're having fill this out, sign it, and send it back to you. It's just a confidentiality agreement. Pretty simple, pretty short and sweet. They're agreeing to non-disclose stuff. They're not going to blast it out. Return of information. We have to provide anything, reps and warranties, general provisions, and then the term. The terms are always going to be 12 months on that stuff. Okay. All right, so let's go back here. Fee agreement. Here's one that you would want to see. So this is an example of a fee agreement that we signed with a company, Porthos. We were buying a portfolio from Porthos. And then we agreed that when we were buying this, that we were going to pay them a specific fee. Okay. You can see for any loan portfolio closing, sale, or transaction, Porthos portfolio shall receive a fee of 3% of the loan portfolio purchase and sale closing price, or $5,000, which is greater. They're going to get at least $5,000, which is okay, fine, because we're usually buying bigger assets. Okay. And also, if a fee earned by PPT is outlined above and is not paid within designated 24 hours, a penalty of $500 per calendar day will be added to the total owed to B2B. That's basically if I wire to the bank but don't wire them and try to drag it out, they're getting charged $500 per day for me being a shithead. Okay. You may want to put that in your contract. You may want to put in your closing agreement. Hey, there's a $500 per day fee that you close beyond the agreed upon closing date. It's one thing that I do to get people aware of. Okay. And so basically I signed it. This goes back to 2015. It's basically the fee agreement. You can create something very similar for what you're doing. Okay. Let's pull up another doc here for you to take a look at. Here's another NDA from a fund that we bought, MIAC. This is back 2016. This might, I suppose it helps if I share. All right, Mortgage Industry Advisory Corporation. My buddy Brendan Teeley over there basically talks about what they're doing. Sir McDan, evaluation means agreement shall not apply to any evaluation bureau which will become generally available to the public other than a result of disclosure. So if they're basically sending out, if other sellers are sending out public lists all across the board, this does not apply. Okay. This is 1, 2, 3 pages deep. Okay. You will not continue to communicate with any borrower, debtor, grantor, borrowers, or debtors, or guarantors, account, or attorney or any other person or party contact with related to whose name is obtained from the evaluation material with respect to the portfolio without the prior written consent of the seller. It means basically I can't say this and then cancel the bid, then go back and try to go around them. That's a good clause to have. So here you go. Unless a sale transaction related to the portfolio is consummated between you and the seller and this agreement is incorporated therein. It's basically this good, it's 3 years and the termination of all dealings between the parties. So it's normal, 3 years kind of floor. There you go. For you. So we were paying 3 points to them. You agree that in your evaluation report, you'll be acting as principal only. That's one thing and careful. They don't want you to wholesale. If you're buying a portfolio, you're not going to wholesale a portfolio, but that you're literally looking. Now, they sent me a tape. We bought that tape. Now, if I hadn't wanted to buy the tape, I would have then had to gone back to Brandon, my buddy there, and said, listen, hey, this is not for me, but I have somebody that may be interested. Do you mind if I share it with them? And that's just respect, okay? Respect. But that's it. That was pretty much, that's a NDA and kind of the fee agreement there for you. Let's do another share here. Let's pull up another document here for you. Here's another standard NCND from Letition. This goes back a couple of Letitians no longer in business. They were out of Salt Lake City. We bought actually a lot of notes from them. Same thing for you to take a look. And the thing is, you can look at a couple of these. This is 3 pages. Actually, this is longer than 3 pages. You could take what you like and add to yours, take away what you don't like. All right. So this was, actually, this is 5 pages. Okay. For a buddy of ours. Our see, non-compete, non-disclosure. This is REMIC. This was a fun, same thing, non-circumvent non-disclosure. Pretty simple. I probably got 2 or 3 of these in there by mistake. My fee agreement. Oh, here we go. All right, here's a good thing here for you. So this is a portfolio we bought from Avison Young back in 2015. 875,000 loans for sale. We bought this from Avison Young. Basically, the fee agreement, we agreed with them on it. So they got, such advisory shall equal to 300 basis points, 3% of the gross sale proceeds, which we were fine with. Miscellaneous. Yeah, and they signed off on it. We signed off on it back in 2015. And this was the Schedule A, which was 875,000 loans. It was a spreadsheet attached to it. Is it down here? No, it was a separate spreadsheet in the email that they sent to me. So it was actually a pretty good deal. And we made quite a bit of money. If you're going to wholesale for a firm, let's say if somebody reaches out to you, they don't have the marketing and you end up wholesaling some stuff. This is a kind of to give you an idea. So we were doing back in, when is this? This is from 2017, 2018. Granite Loan Solutions came to us to help market. Yes, Allison, I will include all of these in a one PDF. I didn't get a chance to put them all into one PDF to send out, and I will send that out to you guys after the fact. I didn't want to get these to you up front because you've been all looking at them and asking me eyeball questions. So yes, we'll have these sent to you on one PDF. It'll be a separate link that you'll be able to download that. I'll get that out to you guys tomorrow. Okay. But here's a simple form that we create, billing Granite, because we helped sell 5 assets. So we did a webinar. The seller, Granite Loan Solutions, came to us because they couldn't market deals. We marketed it. We had great buyers. So we created this list. And the Cowboys list was basically the spreadsheet, we called it. It's a Cowboys list. Okay. And so we listed off, we made bids. We found out we helped. Basically, we would get bids in. We turned the bids over to Grant. They would close on them. We would follow up on the process, make sure we're closed. And so this is the outline they sent back to you. Said, okay, this asset sold, this asset sold, this asset sold, this asset sold, and this asset sold. You can see, Dan Zatowski, Michelle Hill bought 2, Wilfredo Ramos, DeWitt Van Wyzen bought 1. And so our 2% commission was 2% of the funding amount. All right. So with 55,000 trade, we made 1,100. But for us to do a webinar, which basically took about an afternoon, I didn't even do it. My VA put the webinar together, put the PowerPoint together off the details of the spreadsheet. And then I just went through and looked at it, and then we sold them, and we sold these 5. We actually got more than 60 offers. And this was the first 5 that closed. So I got 2% commission off it for helping these out. And they wired the funds into. There's a invoice for your fee. So if you're wholesaling something and you're doing assets or something like this for somebody, you may want to create invoice like this to send out to the buyers. Okay. All right. We go on here. There is, let's see here. Do I have to cover that? Yeah. I want to get to options agreements at the end. I want to go through it right now. We'll do that later. Okay. So those are basically non-compete, non-disclosure, an NCND, an NDA, a fee agreement, your wholesaling thing. Those are ultimately going to be most of the forms that you have signed. Okay. Any questions about some of those docs? That's between you and the seller, also between you and the buyer. Okay. And that's going to protect it. Now, that's not included in the loan sale agreement that you sign with the seller. If you're going to have people buying, you're going to do, and we'll get to the 2 ways to close here in a minute, and we'll talk about a little bit there. But basically, if you have a loan sale agreement, you want to make sure you're closing to the person that's buying the notes from you is a couple days before you're supposed to close with the bank, okay, or the seller. All right. All right, let's move on here. All right. When you're wholesaling notes, property, there's basically 2 ways to close. Okay. 2 ways to close. And then the last session, session 6, the first documents I shared, I showed there was a fee agreement, a wholesaling fee agreement for myself to Mike Ganser for 10 grand. Okay. Now I knew Mike for years. I was not afraid of him going around me. So we had him sign a wholesaling agreement. And then we did a 1-page assignment of contract, which we had agreement with Wells Fargo Financial. So we 1 page is signing that sales agreement to Mike. Now, here's the thing. If you're working with somebody brand new that you've never dealt with before, okay, you're probably going to have to set up an escrow account. And then you're probably going to want to do a double closing. That's the first way of closing on a deal, is a double closing. What does that mean? Well, basically, the seller, okay, let's just say Wells Fargo Financial, you sign a contract with them to close in 30 days. You have a contract, the terms, everything's outlined in that 8 to 21 page agreement, right? You're out marketing the deal. You have somebody that comes to you that wants to buy the deal, that is ready to rock and roll. Then what you would do is, if you've never worked with them before, don't trust them, then what you want to do is take that contract that you have that's signed with Wells Fargo and replicate it, but change. Now you're the seller and they're the buyer. The closing date, you want to bump up a day or 2 before on the original one. Same thing, same due diligence, same contract, but it's the same terms, except for the names. The price is also going to be more. If there's wiring instructions on the original contract, you want to change the wiring instructions to your escrow account. And the reason you want them to close 2 days sooner than the one, so that when money comes in, at the end of the day, it may get held up. So you need at least 24 hours. Usually, make sure it doesn't, your closing's not on like a Friday with the bank, and they wait till Friday to fund, then you're in violation of your contract with the seller. You don't want to do that. So set up basically a same exact contract showing that they're buying such and such from you, and that you have a vested, maybe you have a signed contract with the seller, you have a vested interest in the property. Okay. And that's under a loan sale agreement, or you even do a property agreement. You can do this where it's a double closing, and then you would close, basically they're wiring money into the escrow account at the attorney's office. You then turn around and wire the money to the seller. You hold your profit in escrow there. You don't pull that profit out until you've gotten everything from your seller. Okay. So the seller then sends you an assignment, a mortgage contract, or a quick claim, whatever, assignments of beneficiaries. You're going to need to replicate those docs to go from, if it's say, Wells Fargo sends them from Wells Fargo to you, you need to replicate them from you to the seller. And then you'd provide those all in one package. Once you've sent that over to your buyer, then you can have the funds released from escrow to you, because then you've provided everything as agreed upon. Of course, you're going to provide a copy of the due diligence docs. You're not going to want to send over the link, because most of these banks are going to send you like an electronic box fee or a Dropbox or something. You're going to want to go ahead and download all that stuff to your own Basecamp or portal, and then reshare it with the individuals out there. And if they ask you, like, okay, I see there's an assignment from Wells Fargo, but where's it going to, or how do you control? Well, I have we have it under agreement. We're going to sell it, but you have it under contract. They can't go around you at that point. You get what I'm saying? So that's the first way, doing a technically double closing. Now with notes, there's no closing costs, there's no escrow fees, the title's still in play from when the original loan was created. The second way is doing like what we did, you can do as well. If you trust the individual and you've worked with them before, just have them fill out a wholesaling agreement. Hey, I'm agreeing to pay 10 grand for this deal. 4 of it's going to go to the contract dated such and such between Wells Fargo Financial and Scott Carson. The remaining 6 grand is going to to Scott Carson for the asset for selling the contract to me. That's pretty easy. Like we'll do that all day long. Brandon Teely, MIAC, he was selling a portfolio. Okay. So my contract, he actually gave me, I had a direct contract with the seller. Brandon stepped out of the middle and we signed a fee agreement. So when I sent my closing in, I sent one wire to the bank and then one wire to Brandon. That was pretty easy. We just had a wholesaling agreement. That's the way number 2. He disclosed all the information. We were happy with that. I didn't mind Brandon making 3 points because we made more money on that. So that's the 2 ways, either double closing or just signing a fee agreement and getting a wire. Now the thing here is too, just where you're signing a fee agreement, there's supposed to be 2 wires, one from your buyer to your seller and then one to you. Okay. If they don't wire to you, you don't release the assignments. Okay. They don't wire to you. You can immediately go put a lien on that property. You can go put a second lien or a lien against that property that would cloud title on that asset. So that's one way to protect yourself. Do you ever have people try to buy a deal they didn't wire funds to you? Go slap a lien on the property. Protect yourself. We would when we were doing short sales back in the day, we were doing a lot of short sale negotiations, and we would always say part of the cost of us and how we got paid was that the agents, both agents would pay us a point. So it was 1 point from the buyer's rep and 1 point from the seller's rep. Well, oftentimes that would be paid out of their closing. You had some realtors that would say, oh, you can remove that line item, and then we weren't going to get paid. Well, what we would always do to protect ourselves, the minute we engaged that and we knew that it was getting ready to go to closing, we knew that we were a week out or 2 weeks out, we knew we were going to end up closing on this deal. The minute we got approval from the bank on the short sale, the minute they sent us the approval letter, we went and filed a lien against the property, like a junior lien, to cloud title. And so you'd have these realtors that would say, oh, they get all mad at closing because this would pop up on title. And we protect ourselves. And they all call somebody like, no, this is how we're getting paid. You're not going to cut us out of the deal. It can be paid out of your realtor commissions as a line item 1302 or 1301 at closing for us doing all this work. And it worked that way. And the minute they would do that, we would sign a release at closing to release that lien off for clear title so it could close. So you do the same thing. I know, go slap a note, a lien against the property. It's behind the first lien that's being sold, but it still clouds title a little bit to make some things happen. So those are the 2 ways to close when you're wholesaling, either double closing or a simple fee agreement, and where your buyer ends up sending in 2 wires, one to you and one to the bank. On a double closing, they're going to send 1 wire in for the full amount to your escrow account. You'll pay $500 for an escrow account. And then immediately as those funds arrive, once they clear, you can go out and send them all out. But what I would do is make sure you take a screenshot of that escrow account so it shows the full amount. I know that's one thing that we did. When our first big trade was $410,000 on a deal, I said we would make sure to take a screenshot so we could show some proof of funds, even though we wired out $375. 10 minutes later to Wells Fargo, to Capital One, that deal, we wanted the bank statement to show 410, not 35. But you get what I'm saying. So that's the 2 ways to close. If you trust the person, you've done business with them before, hey, just do a fee agreement and then just send it over. But if you've never done business with them, you don't trust them, then do a double contract. 1 contract from the seller to you, and then the second contract from you to the buyer. Okay? Any questions about that before we move on to session number 8? If you're buying from a bank, you will always, if you're buying from a bank 90% of the time, you're going to do a double closing. It's just going to be the best way to do it. Now, if you're doing like from Harbor Portfolio or Direct Source, Paper Stack, you may be able to just do a wholesaling fee and a fee agreement. Okay. Let's move on. All right. So wholesaling over the years, you've all probably heard horror stories. There's good parts of it. There's bad parts of it. and there's the downright ugly side of wholesaling. Some people are just freaking stupid. And I've made a few comments throughout here kind of alluding to some of the things that can be ugly out there. And so I kind of want to break it out. It's really good. Let's start with the good side, right? The good part of wholesaling, the good side of wholesaling, we like to say, is marketing individual deals. And when you're using quality photos, or you're taking the time to put a video together, that's a beautiful thing when somebody actually knows how to market. Okay. That's a good side of wholesaling. That's somebody who's really diving into the deal. And I don't care if they just pulled information off a spreadsheet that's on there, but they put it in a place that's easy to understand. They're telling the story. That makes it so much easier versus, oh, somebody's in a spreadsheet, they don't know what the hell they're looking at. So dumb it down, tell them exactly what's so great about the deal, what's bad about the deal, why this makes it a great offering. Hey, the house is worth 100. We're getting this deal at it's a deal that you can pick up at 65,000. That includes our fees, but you're still going to make a phenomenal return on investment. Okay. The good side of wholesaling, verifying proof of funds when bids are made, not up front. Never, ever, 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 ever send in a proof of funds and a letter of intent before you've ever looked at a tape. Okay. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's just a big waste of time, because what's that person going to do? They're going to take your proof of funds and say it's theirs and go out and shop and try to get approval to make an offer on your behalf. Never, ever send in a proof of funds before you've looked at a deal. Okay. You make send in, and I'll tell people like, I don't send in proof of funds before I make an offer. Been burned too many times. Okay. Knowing your deal inside out is also the good thing. Hey, like I said, what makes it special? What makes this an opportunity? I'll give you a great example. Like Paul Riley's doing a great job with his deal in Michigan, Muskogee. I know Muskogee, Michigan. I know it's basically about a 14% deal. If you're going to fund the deal, he'll split it with you. If you're going to buy it, it's going to be like 11 and 12 at 75. Okay. He's saying, hey, fund it at 65 with me. We go splitsies. If you want to buy it for yourself, guess what? I'm going to make my 10 grand. You're still going to get a good return on investment. Okay. Another good side of wholesale, building a quality buyers lists, taking the time to put it in Excel and upload it to like easy texting or keep something you have access to. I don't even want to ask the question on here because I know I'm going to be disappointed, but if you don't have a list of contacts, if you've never taken the time, that's number one. That's what you got to do starting today. Start putting people into lists. Start taking the time each day to invest in your list and your systems, whether it's sending out an email blast or connecting with asset managers online or potential buyers through Octopus, or uploading it to an SMS service where you can send out a text message. It's valuable to you in the long run, okay? And here's the thing too, the good side is when you know exactly what your list is looking for, you look at a list. I know that I can send stuff to Jamal Khan in Colorado Springs because he's up that neck of the woods. I know that I can send stuff to anything in Cincinnati, Larry's there. I can look at anything in Huntington Beach, Linda's there. You know, I know if I get a self-storage unit facility, I can reach out to Stacy Rossetti to take a look at it. And that's one of the most important things, is taking the time to understand what's on your list and working with the folks that can close and stuff. Here's the thing. The good side is when you buy for your own portfolio, you're buying 5 assets. You're technically buying 1 for your portfolio and wholesaling the other 4. That's a great thing that happens all the time. Co-bidding. And so many investors fail to see the opportunities that they look at a spreadsheet. Oh, there's nothing on here for me. And they just let it go. They never even pick up the phone to call me. Look, if you get a tape in, and it's something I'm not seeing, and I want to buy a deal, I'll pay you the fee. I'll also help you make something by selling an asset to somebody else. Making $1,000 is much better than making nothing. So that's the thing, is look to buy for your own portfolio, and anything else that you're not going to buy, there are other people out there that will buy it. Either you can wholesale it to them or make something instead of nothing. And here's a good side of wholesale. When you leave plenty of profit for the end buyers. I've seen students that were going to wholesale a deal and they wanted to make $8 grand. But the deal didn't hold $8 grand. They need to be at 65. Well, they were at 73 because they were so damn determined to make $8 grand, and they didn't sell the deal. And I'm told them, you're not going to get somebody to buy the deal. It's too high an investment to value. It's over 70%. You need to be at 65 cap. Well, we want to make it sure $8 grand. Well, that's the mind block here. You're not going to make that deal happen in $8 grand. Sure enough, it didn't happen. So they made nothing. They had offers for $3,000 and $4,000 in profit to them, but they were too greedy, and I hate to say too obtuse to see the opportunity. And don't do that. Don't gobble up all the profits and leave nothing for yourself. Don't get me wrong. We know there's some people out there no names will be named here, that when they sell assets, they gobble up all the profit and they leave nothing for their students. I mean, for their investors out there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now I get it. There's sometimes deals are you pay too much for a deal. I get it. You're trying to squeeze so much stuff out, but if you're not going to leave any profit for somebody coming, don't advertise the deal. Just go and do it. Just do the deal yourself and close it out. Okay. Great side of wholesaling where you're 1 degree removed from the seller. You know the seller. You've talked to the seller. You're actually there. That's a beautiful thing. Not being 3, 4, 5, 6 removed. That's not a good spot to be. That's the good. Those are the good things. When you see wholesalers that are fall into this category, this is a good day. Nobody has a problem with any of this stuff. Nobody said there's nothing wrong with making 1 to 2, 3 points if you're providing serious value. Great. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. Now the bad side of wholesaling. Not knowing the numbers, profit potential. When you see this happen all the time at RIA clubs, people get up in front of their room and they say they got a deal. But when you ask simple numbers like what's the rent rate, how square footage, they're like, I don't know. Okay. Here's another thing, the bad side. When you're trying to wholesale and somebody sends you a deal and you're interested in buying, you make an offer and you find out that they disappear. They don't respond back. And then what that tells you is they never had the deal under control. They never got it under contract to begin with, either on a loan sale agreement or an option fee. We'll talk about options in a minute here. You're going to love options here in just a second. People that don't invest in email and marketing tools. Now I get having a tight budget. I totally understand that, being tight and being broke and trying to make something happen. I get it. At some point, you got to invest back in your stuff. You've got to start using email. I get it. It's a $49 a month fee or $50 a month fee. You got to start using it. Got to start reaching out and communicating with buyers and sellers and make it smart. If you're just trying to go through Facebook or Instant Messenger or Outlook or Gmail, or some of you trying to use AOL, that's not effective. Yes, you're going to have that individual conversation, but to get the deal out, share more, you got to invest in a little bit of marketing. Okay. And please, please, please do not ever call me and tell me that you're a buyer's rep or a buyer's mandate. When I hear that, that is the biggest piece of shit I hear. Okay. Oh, I represent a buyer. No, you don't. You represent somebody who said they got money, who said they have money, but you've never proofed up. I get phone calls like this all the time. And it's like, oh, I want to vomit. You are buying for yourself, not somebody else. I'm a buyer's rep. And I hate to say this, but realtors will do this sometimes. Oh, I've got an investor who's got $20 million. I'm representing it. No, represent yourself. Quit taking orders. I mean, yes, wholesaling, you're kind of taking orders, but hey, I'm making some offers for myself. Don't say you're a buyer's rep. It's just that will get you blacklisted faster than anything else. Okay. The same thing. Don't come across and say you have 20 million a month to invest. That goes in line. We've got a buyer. I represent a buyer who's got 20 million a month to invest. No, he does not. Send me the proof of funds. Never happens. Well, you won't send release bank statements. That's great. Send me a qualified institutional buyer form, a QIB. If they won't fill that out, don't know what that is, they're not real. Okay. Frank Caldwell asked, am I familiar with the REI Black Book? Yes. Damon Ramey has a great thing. REI Black Book is really, really good. If you have that and use it, use it. For the love of God, use it. REI Black Book works very well. Landing pages, websites, CRM, use it. Okay. Use it, use it, use it. All right. Wasting. Here's another of the bad side is having to waste time with people who say they have $20 million. Okay. That's a bad side. People call them, well, we want to talk to you. We got 20. Look, if he called and told me, said, hey, you and your business partner have $1 million combined to do it, I believe that. Somebody tell me they got 20 million a month to represent somebody, I don't believe that, because it's not going to happen. Somebody's got 20 million, they're not going to deal with me. They're not going to be dealing with wholesalers. They're going to be going direct to the source. Okay. Here's the thing. One thing you got to be very careful of in the note business, if you start marketing to some websites and people thinking it's the real estate versus the actual note. That's the bad side. If you go and posting to Craigslist. No, you don't own the property. You're posting a property. People are going to think you own the property. They're going to make an offer on the property, not the note. You got to make sure you're dealing with people that understand notes in your wholesale notes. If it's real estate, okay, great. If you're wholesaling a note or a contract for deed, you got to disclose that. Hey, there's a bar in the property, or this was a contract for deed. And there's another thing that's a bad side is don't be one of these people that gets lists and send out sanitized lists. Do not do that. It's better for you to do a map, batch geo. Hey, I got a list of stuff if you're interested. here's some of the cities that we have, then contact me. I'll have you sign an NDA and I'll release the full tape to you. Don't send out a sanitized list. That's such a waste of time. Okay. Now, the ugly side, the very ugly side of wholesaling. Okay. Do not fall into this. Daisy chains are a waste of time. If you get a list from somebody and they say that they're the seller's rep and they want to get you on a conference call with their partner and then their partner and then their partner, if they don't actually own it and can't answer anything, do not waste your time. And sure as hell, don't bring me in the middle of it. I hate that. Oh, we've got to get my partner on here or their partner, or he's my partner. I'm like, you're not even in the same entity. No, you're not partners. So do not do a daisy chain. Okay. You want to be one removed from the buyer or seller. That's why you don't want to become a joker broker. Joker brokers deal with wasted time, sanitized lists. When you get the list of being a joker broker, you'll lose. That's hard to come back from. And we see that with people just slapping lists out there, slapping spaghetti against the wall, just trying to make something happen versus taking the time to understand what they have. Same thing. I talked about this earlier. People that ask for a proof of funds or letter of intent before releasing assets, that's just a waste of time. Okay. And that's the ugly side. There's guys out there was running all over Facebook and different groups a few weeks ago trying to do that. And he sent me, I got this. It's like, dude, do not waste time doing that. You're turning yourself into a joker broker. If you have something, great. If you don't have something, just be honest and ask me what I'm looking for. And I'll tell you, but don't make me sign a proof of funds and LOI. Because honestly, most banks, lending institutions, they don't require you a proof of funds before you start looking at their stuff. Okay. Another ugly side is getting your own list sent back to you with much higher pricing. Okay. Yes, I've had my own list that I sent out come back to me a week later when I wanted 50 cents on the dollar. It came back at 65 cents on the dollar. Oh, I got a list in. I own every note on this list. That's funny. Who'd you get it from? That's an ugly side. Or what's funny is getting an old list in that you've bought assets from. One of the most important things that you guys can do is when you get a spreadsheet from somebody, is look at the info on that spreadsheet where you go to hit save as. Before you hit save as, look at the info and then look to the right side. If you're looking at Excel, it'll tell you when it was created, who's the creator. And if it's been edited and most recently edited. If it's created 6 months ago, it's probably an old list, which means you probably don't want to waste time on that. Occasionally you'll see people sending out old lists out there. Don't fall for that. Okay. The ugly side too is when your seller sees you marketing the deal for buyers. That gets ugly. It's not a fun thing to do. I've had asset managers call me. There's a guy that was a part of a student a while back, and he went into the Note Nation Facebook group, said, hey, I got 28 notes available for sale. Let's partner on these. Well, he didn't own the 28. He just gotten a list from SN Servicing and was trying to find buyers for it and then put himself in the middle. Well, somebody reported it to David Polio, and I get a phone call on a Sunday, AFC championship game a few years ago. He's asking, well, you have 28 of my assets listed on your website for sale. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. I said, wait a second. Is this from a such and such individual? Like, yeah. I was like, oh, he posted in my private Facebook group of students that he had 28. He's probably just trying to wholesale it. No, I'll take it down. But that's the thing, guys. When your seller sees you marketing for deals for buyers, this is why you want to start marketing for buyers and people now, so you don't make that mistake and step on your own toe. And the ugly side too is, like I mentioned, is sellers trying to sell deals with fixed commissions where they don't understand that the price doesn't make sense, or they want too much. There's no meat on the bone, or their commission is gobbling up all the profit. I'd rather make something versus nothing. Okay. And this is when you see a deal where it's over 70% of value. They don't know the profit margins. They don't know the exit strategies, or they want too much on the wholesale profits. They want like 20 grand. I'm like, look, I'm not going to pay you 20 grand. There's not 50 grand in profits. Okay. There's 21,000 in profits. I'm not going to pay 20%, 20,000. That team will only make two points. So it just doesn't make sense. Okay. But that's the good, the bad, the ugly of wholesaling. Okay. Deal due diligence. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at something real fast. All right. So let's pull this back up. So deal due diligence. This is important. Okay. Now, if you think it's valuable, it's valuable. Okay. deal due diligence. I didn't put a list together here because I've gone through this a variety of times over our 3-day virtual note buying workshop. We also do big things about it. We're actually going to do a separate 1-day class just on due diligence for whether you're a wholesaler or a note buyer. We're going to go much more in depth on deal diligence. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jack. All right. Session 9 here, guys, is all about the deal diligence. Now, I don't have a list in here. I'm going to put a short list on stuff on there where you can run a 1-page short due diligence. I'll put a 21-page in here for you. Those are due diligences, like if you're going to buy the deal. Here's the most important thing. You got to know value of the asset, the numbers, and then the exit strategies. What's the way to make it? If it's vacant, we know it's not going to be reperforming. If it's occupied, hey, it could be a reperformer. If it's, they're starting the foreclosure process is vacant, you're not going to get that bar back on track. So literally looking at the deal and looking at the numbers. Now, one thing I do want to go through with you is there are some very affordable ways to help you spice up your due diligence. If you've got this under contract, you may want to spend a little bit of money in pulling some information. And there's 2 things. You've heard of our good buddy, Dickie Baldwin. Dickie's phenomenal with Baldwin Advisory Group. Okay. Now, one thing that Dickie offers that probably a lot of people don't know about. Okay. Baldwin Advisory Group offers some cool things for you to take a look at. So there's, where's it here? One of the things that you can do instead of pulling a full BPO, okay, is you can send out a door knocker to walk out and take a look at it. Now, we always like to say a property inspection report. It's like 40, what do you say, 40, 45 bucks, okay? Yeah, 45 bucks to have a photo request or a property inspection report, 45 bucks. If you're under contract and they don't have a BPO that's recent, go out and send somebody out to take a look at it. And let me pull this up for you so you can see it. And here's a photo request, so you get an idea what it looks like. So this was just recently taken on a deal February 28th, just literally a week ago. And they went out and took a picture of the property, and they just drove by it, and they gave you some information. And there's some poor comments, all right? So a few comments. A picture of that, the picture of the side, you can see there's snow on the ground. The verifying the address, you see there's a car in the back there for you. See that it's pretty occupied, the streets. This is pretty good. This is a property inspection report. These can be really good. 45 bucks to get good photos, and knowing that it's occupied is a good thing. Oh, why is it not? It should be showing you. Share. Yeah, it's showing. It should be showing you. Anybody else seeing slides here, everybody? Yeah, well, so okay. All right, so yeah, basically that's a property inspection report, 45 bucks. You can send this out if you're buying assets, especially like if it's in Louisiana or Florida where there's been flooding. You may want to do this. I know that some investors do this every 6 months, is pay this for their entire portfolio just to make sure up to date that it's still there, okay? That's the first thing. That's just a property inspection report. It's not going to pull any values, but it's a quick 45 bucks, okay? Now, another thing that you may want to pull is an AVM, okay? An automated valuation model. Here we go. Let's see here. Where is it? I just had it up here. Here we go. An AVM, automated valuation model, is going to cost you about 70 bucks. And come on, let's see. There we go. In this one, you can see they give a confidence level. An AVM here. They're going to pull photos. Realtor's going to drive by. This one didn't get out of the car. It's okay. But you can see they're going to give you a high and a low. It's not meant to be a BPO, but it gives you an idea where the value comes in. And they're going to give you a rough value. Hey, we think this is on the higher end or somewhere in the middle, 67,000. And they give you the confidence score. How confident is the realtor or the person that pulled this information for you? So there, once again, it gives you an image. It gives you the aerial. It shows you some of the comps so you can see what it is. The list price is most recently sold, stuff like that, land value, all this, if you want the borrow information, to put that in there. the historical listings, so you can see whatever was listed before. You know, the comparables in the area too. So it's pretty good in pulling some quick online valuations. Okay. The subject property, the other comps is pulling too. So it's not bad and well worth $70. Now a BPO costs you $125. And you know, an AVM will tell you if somebody's selling you bullshit, you come back, oh, the value is way low. Well, or it's trashed out. Well, let's make sure of that. So these come in pretty handy for you. Now, if you're selling an asset, I wouldn't order a BPO. I would order an AVM, save you $50-$60. And then that way, you know what the asset's worth when you're selling it. And it gives you the trends. You can see some of the charts of how the area's performing and some other notes, and some other photos there for you. And that's what I would do. Make them still go buy their own BPO, but you have an idea of that BPO, which way it comes into. And then if they come back and say that the value is not there, oh, it's only worth 30. Well, I know that's not right. Send me your BPO. If they won't send you the BPO, then don't accept it. But those are two things, photos and then an AVM. Okay, a drive-by property inspection report for 45 and then an AVM model for 75. That is $110. Will give you a lot of information. Okay, but those are some things to look at to help you with your due diligence. Obviously, you're going to want to pull, you know, rent rates, what's going on. Can you send, you know, if you're buying it, can I get the servicing information? Can I get the due diligence of the collateral file? Can I get the servicing notes? Like we were looking at buying a note with one of the students and saw that when we got the servicing notes, it showed that they were actually almost 60 days late. Okay, I'm like, wait a second, they haven't paid up for October or February. That this is not a performing note anymore. Or hey, we only have servicing notes to 2019. Anything after 2019, we needed to get an update for. So go ahead and get those things, because the more value you can get, the more assets, the more information, the speedier people will say yes or they'll say no to. Okay. So doing some extra due diligence on those that are serious, it's a great learning process along the way. And it tells you, hey, this is a real deal. You'll know it's a real deal. Hey, I know this number makes sense. Or when you're buying like a multifamily, figuring out what rent rates are in the area, going to Rentometer and paying $10 for a property report, or having your friend who's a realtor pull a National Association of Realtors real property report for free off of that. Those are some things that can help you with your due diligence. It adds value. It means you get higher wholesale fees. It also means that people will take you more seriously because you've actually done some work versus just throwing spaghetti against the wall. Okay. All right. Session 10, everybody, is all about marketing and more marketing. Okay. And what I mean by marketing and more marketing is you got to do the things that many of you don't want to do. Okay. Let me give you an example here. Look, if, where did I put that at? Let me think here for a second. Oh, I know. Let me just share this. So if you go, one thing you may want to do is go over and take create a short video. These things don't take a lot of time to do. If we go into our WCN membership, I think Paul posted something on here. There you go. Like, this is a great example. Let me download this and I'll bring it back up for you guys. It's like Paul. He took a good photo. He also did a short video on this deal. So like Paul is looking at trying to either take this deal down for himself. He's buying for his own investment, or he's also interested in selling the asset off. So like this one, you can see he pulled the information. Investment 65,243. That's the funding amount, received quarterly distributions, closing this month. The note balance, the interest rate, the monthly payments, 22 months of good payment history. It's a value. The property details, 3-1, current value is 100,000, renovated in March last year. A couple of things he did not include in here. He didn't include the rent rate, which has been good to have because you can see that they got some equity. They did say that there is some equity, so that it's worth 100, and the balance of what's owed is 89. So what would have been good would have been for him to say, hey, pick this asset up, pick this up at 65% of fair market value. All right, and make it above 10% return on investment. That would have been one thing to add to it, but he's got some decent photos on there. He's got this on one image, and this is a good flyer. And he created this flyer and took it to a RIA clubbing. Now, he should have Put his phone number down here, not just a website. Put a phone number and his email address on there. So people are not going to a website does not make sense. But an email and a phone number is one thing you want to put on your marketing. You want to give people the opportunity to contact you, right? So that's an important thing. Now, another thing you can do is you can record a short video, okay? Take the picture of the property, specifics on one side, and then tell the story. Take a few, you don't even put your face. For you ladies that are scared or guys that don't want to have your face on video, okay, that's fine. But go ahead and record a little deal case study. So if we go over here to videos, let me manage my videos. Just talk about the specifics. Same thing. Tell the story. Hey, this is a great deal. It's worth 60. We're selling it at 40. It's a $961 a month rent rate. It's in a great neighborhood. It does not need to be long. It can be very short, very sweet. And I believe, where did I put the deal at? There, here we go, right here. This is a minute 35. And I basically took a slide, create a slide in Canva for one image. And then the second image was the exact same thing. Instead of it being Detroit REO, it said the specifics. Let me just play this thing for you. Do I have I must have my speaker down. But anyway, basically I'm going through and just, hey, what's great about the deal? I flipped it. Here's a number, zip code, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000 square foot, 1,000 a month rent rate, tenant occupied, 40K OBO. And then basically I said, give me a phone call. Okay. Drop me a message, drop me an email at scott@weclosenotes.com. But it's a short minute and a half. It's 95 seconds. It's the same slide. I just basically added the second slide with the information. That's pretty simple. All of you guys can do that. There we go. I had my speaker turned off.
That's scott@weclosenotes.com, or comment on this video and I'll make sure that we get back to you with the information. But we're looking for a $40,000 over best offer on this to sell this REO before we get into the eviction process. Otherwise, like I said, have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at scott@weclosenotes.com or comment on this video. Thanks.
And so it was great. And we got over 40 people respond to this. But the title of the video was New Detroit REO at 67% of fair FMV. And then I go through what I said in here and made a little blog about that. This does well. This will work 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365 days a year for me on YouTube. It'll also look good because I also shared it to LinkedIn. Now, this is my deal. I'm not afraid to share it. If you have it under contract, don't put the address. Say, hey, I've got a deal that I'm working on. Okay, I'm looking for funding. Share that. Share it to your Facebook group. Share it to your email list. Okay. We've gone through the marketing octagon before, how you take one piece of content and reshare it across different platforms, meetup groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn profile, create a short little video, email it to your database. It's the same things to market to wholesale. Okay. It's the exact same thing that we go through marketing notes to help wholesale things. Okay. And you may want to say, hey, we have this deal under contract. We're glad to wholesale. If not, we'll close on the deal ourselves. Okay. Those are some strong things, but the marketing is all what comes into. If you're not going to send an email blast out, go do something else. If you're not going to spend some time in marketing on an asset or two because you don't want to spend time, you're scared of it, go do something else. This world, and wholesaling more so than anything else, wholesaling is all about marketing the deal. You got to share it. You got to use the tools that we talk about. You got to communicate with your database on a regular basis. Now, here's the thing. You may not have a database right now. Go build you one. Go create. That's why we talked about building a database, building a buyer's list in the very first session, because it's not that hard to build. As long as you're doing things on a regular basis, you can build stuff. You can identify a deal and go find people to buy in Detroit. All right. Well, that deal, let's go back and share something here. Let's go back to LinkedIn. If I want to go to LinkedIn, and I'm looking for real estate investors, but I want to see in Michigan, I can type in real estate or actually, let's just say note investor, Michigan, and type that in. How many people did it show me? Look for people. 2,100 people. Turner Novak, investor at Banana Capital at Ann Arbor. Jeff Weasley. Okay. Credit analyst at Mercantile Bank. Okay. Note investors, managing director, Alex Fisher, Todd Sullivan. I know Todd. Alina Verdian. Jonathan Triss, managing partner, Ludlow Ventures. I know Jonathan. We bought some and sold some stuff to him. But that's it. Start looking at that stuff. Or let's do this. Note investors. We'll just do note investors and put then people, but then change the location so it looks a little bit different. So it says when you say note investors, 310,000. So let's change the location and just type it to Michigan, United States. That's a better way to do it than what I just did it before. There you go. 1,300. Scott Pullman, Dennis Childress, Sarah Snyder, Brenda McKellen. You can see pending. We've reached out to them. And what do you say? You send them an invite. Hey, I got a deal in Michigan. I got a deal in Detroit. Didn't know if you're buying REOs or buying performing or non-performing. Here's a link to the short video that I did on the deal. This is simple stuff, but it's all literally right there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Right there for you to target. You've just got to spend a little time and get your head out of your ass and go market. Okay? Spend a little time on Canva. Spend putting these people. If you don't have an email database and you don't want to send an email out, then go do this. Connect with people. Send 10, 20 invites a day and start connecting with people on LinkedIn. It's one of the most simplest things that you guys can do, but it's not happening. People are not taking the time to do this. And if you're going to be in real estate or notes or wholesaling, this is the simplest thing that you can do to build your database without having to send a single email. Okay. Jump on here and connect with people at the deals you're looking at. Okay. But that's what it all comes down to. The marketing. They say note buyer. Nope. Let's do that. Let's type in note buyer. See how many people say note buyer in Michigan. 11,000 people say note buyer. Okay. Well, the thing is that buyer shows up quite a bit. So buyer specialist, beef properties, third degree. Dawn Brown, I know her. Nicholas Paper and Supply, not the right person. Commodity buyer, not the right person. Yeah, buyer sportswear, that would not be a thing. So note investor is a better thing. Okay. But that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Doing that to find stuff. You could also go to the self-directed IRA search and look at the county records for people who have bought a property using their self-directed IRA as potential buyers. We've gone through that before in the 3-day class. You can find hundreds and hundreds of people that way and communicate with them, sending out an email like, what's this, Mark Donahue, Nationwide Trust Buyer. There you go. Trust deeds and experience. Yeah, I know Mark. Yeah, I know him as well. He's at Spokane, and he's what is it? Americas. Yeah, Americas Financial Group. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you should reach out to him and see if he's got anything available for sale. Might be something to think about. Yeah. Hey, Mark. I'm going to do that right now. I hope your 2022 is going well. I wanted to see if you had anything on your portfolio performing or non-performing that you were looking to move this quarter. Thanks. Boom. That's what I'd send them. If you got something, guess what? I would go out and market it. You're literally, as I said before, on the very first, you're 1 degree separation from success. All you need is one source to start sending you some stuff. I showed you 3 already. Okay. I showed you 3 sources with several hundred assets for you to take a look at. And you just have to go out and start hunting and killing and start feeding yourself. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You show him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I'm trying to show you guys how to feed yourself for a lifetime here. Any questions about that. It's like, look, we could go on and on about marketing. We do that through the 3-day workshop a whole lot more effective. But you just got to start sharing. Start with something and grow upon that. Start something, an email blast, a post, meetup groups. Just start with something to start sharing, because that's really what it all comes. You could have the greatest deal, but if you don't know how to market, you ain't going to close on anything. Okay. And that's why we always say that you're in marketing first. And no business is all about marketing deals, finding deals and marketing deals. Also marketing for money. It's those two things. You should always be raising capital, looking for deals, and marketing deals for sale or to buy yourself. The two go hand in hand. Those same people you're reaching out to have deals can also be potential sources. There can also be potential buyers when you find out what they're looking for. All right. Very, very valuable. That last little bit right there, guys. Somebody will latch onto that, and others you'll just let it go and not do any actions. Okay. We don't want you to do that. Take some action and start marketing for deals today. Got a couple questions here I see online. Matt Marino, thank you, buddy. He says, great marketing techniques on a guerrilla marketing budget. That's right, guys. Hey, when I started, I had to do a guerrilla marketing, and that's a great book to read. Guerrilla Marketing is a really great book. Matt says, thanks for getting my head from having cranial rectifus. Good stuff. All right, let's move on to the next session, everybody. Pull it up here. All right, we've already gone through that. All right. You're going to love this. So one of the biggest fallacies is investors don't have a self-directed IRA account. Raise your hands here. How many of you have opened a self-directed IRA account with any self-directed IRA custodian? I don't care if you've got an IRA with Chase Bank or AG Edwards. You've opened an account of some sort, Equity Trust, Quest, Pensco, your local bank where you rolled your 401k over. Some of you have, only 5 people. Okay. Bill says, okay, yeah. Now you have that there. How many of you, by show of hands, have an account with less than 5,000 sitting in it? And you may have more invested, you're saying, but you may have an ESA or a Roth that you put your 1-year contributions in, but you didn't do anything with it after since. Raise your hands. There's millions of people that don't have stuff. They got money rolled over. Okay. You are going to love this. Okay. All right. Because who wants to grow their IRA accounts? Everybody does, right? But they don't have a lot of money to go out and buy a deal. All right. So this part kind of ties in part with the next session, but we'll talk about this for. So you can use your IRA accounts. Like if you have a Quest account, you got to have a truly self-directed IRA custodian or trustee. So if you have it with Chase or AG Edwards or some big Wall Street fund, you're going to need to move it to an Equity Trust, a Quest Trust, or Rocket Dollar, something like that. Okay. But you can do transactions for as little as out of your IRA for as little as $100. So if you put $500 in there, you could technically do $500 transactions. Well, you may think, oh, Scott, what's $100 going to do for me? How can I do that? Let me give you an example. All right. You're going to love this. So, so when I buy assets, I will often ask, what do you have that you need to get rid of? What's the cheap shit that's dragging down the trashed out assets? What's the stuff that you want to move off your portfolio? And they'll come back to me and say, oh, hey, I want to buy this asset, but we got these 3 that we want to get rid of for basically nothing. I said, okay, can you sell them to me based on the contract? Give me I'm only going to pay you 50 grand for the one, but can you give me the other 3 for $100 each? And make the one price $49,700 and 100, right? Yeah, sure, we can do that. Okay. So here's what you do then. All right. This works really good with private sellers. You're not going to do this with a bank, but you can do this with a private seller. Okay. Great. I'm going to need 2 contracts. Okay. One contract for $49,700 to my LLC or whatever, because I'm going to take this one down. But I need you to create a contract for $300 to the seller being my IRA. I want to put these in my IRA. Equity Trust for the benefit of Scott Clarkson, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So you're going to have 2 contracts for these. The crap. Now your IRA is going to fund that $300 purchase. Okay. You're going to fill out the forms that you're buying a note, 3 notes for 100 grand, $100 each. Okay. Now the whole idea with this is to turn around and market the deals for sale to other investors that want to pay you $500 each or $1,000 each. Okay. So your $100 investment on, say, 123 Main Street in Kansas City, Missouri, which is it's a crappy house, well, the lot's worth $5,000 or the lot's worth $15,000. Somebody wants to pay you $5,000 for the lot. Great. Your IRA can, before probably even before funding goes down, you get the contract in, boom, you sell the asset a week later. Maybe it's not truly wholesaling it, but you're basically taking an asset down in your IRA, turn around in IRA selling. Now your IRA, your $100 investment on that one asset just brought you in a $5,000 sales price, which means your $100 deal just made you $4,900. Okay. Pretty easy to do. You have the sale contract for that one asset for 100, or you're buying 3, whatever it might be. Okay. Now you would be basically filling out the contract or the directional investment form with Equity Trust or Quest that you're buying this note. It's worth, the UPB is 30,000, market value is 20, 10, you're filling out for the funding aspect of things. The reason you do this is because you could literally still pre-market those assets. You can still market those to other individual investors as you're getting ready to close on this one. So you can make your buyer fund the $300 at the same time that you're funding the $49,700. So your $300 wire goes out from your IRA, the $49,700 shows up at the same time. You just pay $50,000. It's 2 contracts, but your IRA now owns 3 notes that you just made. You sold one for $5,000. Screw what the other 2 do. The idea would be to do the same thing on those other 2. Okay. Nice. B says, yeah, that's a great. Now you don't want to be doing a lot of wholesale deals in your IRA. Otherwise you'll get penalized and start paying taxes on it and able to treat it as a business. Okay. You do not want to do that, but doing one of these every 6 months or one of these once a year can do really, really well. Or like if you've got an ESA or an HSA or a Roth or traditional, you could do one of these a year in each one of those accounts and really accelerate your IRA. So let me give you a great example. We just negotiated a deal for Larry during his one-on-one. He's buying 3 notes, right? 2 performing notes for his IRA, and then 1 note's a non-performing note that the seller we're putting down as $1 purchase price. Okay, $1 purchase price. We'll probably go back and adjust it so it's $100 minimum, $100 off the other 2. So instead of him paying 15 or 13 for all, he's still going to pay 13 for all 3, but we're going to make it $100 for this one because I think he could wholesale us to a local investor for $5,000 just to take over the asset, or he could call and negotiate with the bar. Say, listen, give me $5,000. You owe over $28,000. The place is yours, or whatever he can afford. Okay, but that's a great thing to do when you're looking at some of this stuff. You're going to see some of the smaller valued stuff. Hey, if you can get a buyer to come in, then basically put the contract, have the contract from the seller go to your IRA, and then either A, wholesale it, sell the contract off, and then just have that money wired in directly without ever having money to go out. But you need to record the assignment. You need to send them the assignment, the contract into your IRA so that they see it and can document it well. You don't want to just send in $5,000. You got to show that you had a contract of some sort for the $100 and either 100 went out or the contract was signed before the $100 came in on the purchase or whatever the money came in. You get what I'm saying, everybody? But using your self-directed IRA accounts can be a great way. If you've got a property under contract and you're going to flip it, make a $5,000 easy. Hey, change the contract up to be your IRA if you can. Okay. If you've got the money in your IRA account, you can do a quick, you can basically have your IRA for $10, put an option on that property, and or your IRA can put an option for your LLC to buy it and then close it out in there for you. But your self-directed IRA accounts are such a tremendous tool. I believe the minimum amount is $100 that you've got to have on a contract to use it through your IRA. I think that's what Quest tells me is $100. So, hey, if you've got $500, go put it in your self-directed IRA. Go start your self-directed IRA account now. That's potentially 5 deals that you could wholesale and turn 500 into 5,000. Imagine what you could do with that then. All right, do that once a year. Adding another 5. That basically is an investment. And if you're using a Roth IRA, all that profit, that $4,900 profit, is tax-free. Okay, because a Roth is started with post-tax money. You've already paid taxes on that money. So that's a great way to grow your IRA account. A tax-free growth on that with profits without having to pay, short-term capital gains or ordinary income on that stuff as your wholesale. That's the thing about wholesaling. You're going to pay some higher taxes on that money, because it's such quick turnaround times. Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes sense for you. But you're filling out the forms. You'd want to call your IRA company. Hey, I've got a property under an option. Under contract. What do I need to send in? Because I have a wholesale buyer ready to buy this from me, and they can walk you through this. Basically, you found the agreement that you're buying, your IRA is buying it from the seller, and the seller's buying your agreement for $5,000 or $4,000, whatever it is. Okay, but $100 minimum purchase price. So Larry, if you have not reached out to your self-directed IRA company, do so now. We want to set this up to make it work for you. Okay, we want to knock this out of the park. Actually, I know you are, because you're funding the other two with the other two. That's right. It's set up and ready to rock and roll for you. We'll walk you through it. All right. You're going to love this next part. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this next subject I'm going to share with you is going to blow all of your minds. We've done this 3, 4, or 5 times on a big major level. And I wanted to save the best for last. Okay. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about using options in your wholesaling business. Now, what I mean by an option, there's 2 types of options. I'll give you a great example. An option is basically you talking with a seller, and you have an agreement that allows for you to buy that property, buy that note at a specific price, good for a specific period of time. All right. And it's only a $10 fee that usually goes along, or a $100 fee as well, to secure that option. So let me give you a great example. Down in South Florida, there used to be a lot of shitty ass hotels along Daytona Beach and that neck of the woods over 30, 40 years ago. I know a guy, he went down there, he went to every crappy hotel that was there, every beach shanty, and he asked the guys what they would do to sell their property. Well, they came up with a number, and he literally did an option, a 5-year option, to buy that property at the price they said they were willing to let it go. Even though many of them wanted full value, he saw the opportunity. So he secured all this Florida beachfront real estate, and then went and sold the options to development companies. And what they do, they were like, oh, we could develop this and turn this into this little shanty shack of $150,000 value. We could go buy that and turn it into a $15 million asset. And so this guy did this. He turned basically $5,000 into roughly $48 million in profit in a matter of 6 months. So if you're in the path of growth, if you're in or near something going on, like here in Austin, it would have been smart for me to go 2 years ago when we found out that Tesla was thinking about transferring their offices, or knowing where they could be. If you could find out where their office was, going and putting options on all that real estate, because the minute it announced it, the minute they started breaking ground, all that property around Tesla or IBM, all the other things, that value goes up. If you can secure an option on that property at a low price, as it appreciates, guess what? That appreciation is work, because you have a option to do this. Now, here's a very important thing. Options are extremely awesome to use, but you also got to be careful there, because some people will get upset. If you sign an option for $100, so you're having to buy your property at $250 today, and I got 12 months to exercise my option, well, that property goes up to $500,000 in a year. Guess what? They sell it. They don't get that $250 above. That goes to you, because you have an option to buy it. It's you have the right to enforce that option. So an option, if you record an option, get an option of property, you want to go record it immediately at the county recorder's office and the county clerk's office, showing that you have that option to buy the property for a period of 12 months. Now, we've used options many a times. Here in Texas, almost every real estate contract has an option period of 7 days. So for $100, you get an option period to walk away, get your 3% or your earnest money back, or you're only at the $100 option fee. That's a very short-term option of 7 days. 7 days to change your mind. Some people will waive their option period and make it where their earnest monies go hard, because there's a high demand here. Now, I use options a little bit differently. Yes, we've used them on some property to find some stuff. I'm looking at some stuff right now to throw options on with a 12 to 24 month window, because I believe there's gonna be a lot of property appreciation in some specific areas. Now, here's the thing. If in 12 months, if I have a 1 year option to buy a piece of property and the value goes down, I'm only out the $10. I don't exercise my option and go from there. If they sell it, if the buyer gets a buyer to come in, I have the first right of refusal. If it's less, I just refuse and just basically, okay, I'll walk away. If they have a higher offer, hey, I have my 12-month to exercise it at the price. If they go ahead and sell it, guess what? I'm owning the profit above whatever my option was amount because I had the option for that. But you got to record that. So once again, we're looking at things. But here's the thing. In the note business, okay, I've used this several times to secure millions of dollars of real estate for pennies on the dollar. For just $10, I've secured millions of dollars in non-performing notes that we then were able to secure a 90-day window, okay, where we had an exclusive option. An exclusive option means you're the only person that can market that list or work on those deals in 90 days. And then it converted to a non-exclusive option where I still had another 90 days where I had the first right of refusal to either close on an asset or just say, no, I'm not going to buy that asset and then let them sell to somebody else with any profit. So I want to share with you one of the first times we did this, and this is it's awesome. Okay. So let me pull up these documents. Where is it here? Here we go. Now this is going to work well. Oops, hang on here. You're not going to get a bank to give you an option most of the time. It's not going to work with a traditional bank. What this will work with is sellers like myself, hedge funds that have a portfolio that they're looking to get rid of. And so I want to tell you a little bit of the background here. So a couple years back, at a hedge fund buddy of mine named Sasha, unfortunately, the guy passed on from cancer a few years back. But he had this portfolio of notes that he was getting rid of. It was like a bottom of the barrel. It was a lot of charge-off stuff, vacant properties, smaller properties in a rough time. I think it was 2011 to 2012. But anyway, he had these 37 notes. Let me share. So you see the photos here, okay? So these 37 non-performing notes that were all across, they were in, here we go, Phoenix, which is pretty exciting. Some in California, one in Miami, one in Oakland Park, some in Chicago, Lansing, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Texas. Okay. So he had these addresses out there for 37 of them. Okay. And they were worth basically, the unpaid balance was $4 million, $4.176 million. He wanted 13% UPB. That's what he wanted. He wanted 13% UPB across the board. Now, on these, they had the values of anywhere from like 25. All right. 25,000 was the smallest one, I believe. 23, all the way up to like, what was that? 45. They weren't really exciting. 48, 49,000. Small balance asset. This is a few years back. Okay. So we said, okay, if you want 13%, let me have the opportunity to buy them at 13%. Let me put them on an option agreement for the whole thing at 542,000 and give me 90 days to go move them. Let me sell them off instead of buying the whole thing. Let me sell them off individually. And anything I get above, here's another thing. I said, give me the exclusive option for 90 days to do this. And he had nothing to lose. He's like, okay, 90 days. Sure. It's the last quarter. I haven't been able to sell these throughout the year. Sure. I'll let you do that. Because, well, what if I get somebody that wants to buy these? I said, well, great. We'll just do it where I have the first right of refusal to match. You have to provide a copy of the contract, a signed contract. And then basically, okay, I'll either match it or I won't match it. And you can sell that asset off individually. So that's what we did. And then I also did something after 90 days. For the first 90 days, nobody else can touch this. I've got an exclusive option. After 90 days, I have a non-exclusive option. I have this first right of refusal. So I had basically 6 months to go out and find buyers for this list. Okay. And that's what I did. I went out and found it. I bought a couple of these I bought myself. Like I bought the one in Oakland Forest in Oakland Park, Florida. I bought that one. I bought, where is it here? There's a couple others on here. I bought the one down in Houston, Texas here. Yep. Richmond Avenue. It's a nice little apartment. I bought the one in Navasota as well. I mean, ridiculously. UPB is only 32. I paid $4,200 for this condo. I worked on, got it back in. I got the bar to deed the property over to me. It was worth 70. Okay. I paid $4,200 on it. I got an option on for 90 days. I found somebody, an IRA investor had 5. They funded it and then we split it. Okay. It was a slam dunk deal. Okay. And of course, over that 90-day period, it took a little while, but it was just the values. He actually had the values low. All right. These values were over a year old. You see charge-off collections. The banks had basically given up on it. His servicing given up because they were low. He would like to hire valued assets. Well, we saw an opportunity here. Like I said, we put under an option agreement. Let me share what that agreement says. It's a 1-page. I don't even think I'm pretty sure I don't even remember sending in a $10. There he is. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a copy. It's not. Did he sign it? Yeah, he signed it. Sasha Pot right there. Okay. So he says on there for knowledge here in seller. He didn't even fill that in. He just sent this back to me, which I filled out later on. 37 nationwide non-performing notes here after and set Fourth Amendment A1 with specific compensation agreements follow. Okay. So what I did something really kind of cool. All right. I said, listen, let me do this. Let me sell these assets, and anything I get over $2,000 above, or anything I get above the sales price, we'll split it 75-25. 75% of that commission goes to me, 25% goes for you. So if I'm getting one he wants $5,000 for it, and I get it at $6,000, that's $1,000. So $750 that goes to me, another $250 goes to him. He's like, that's great. I love it all day long. That'd be great. No problem. I don't have to market these, which he wasn't marketing them anyway. So that's what we did. We bought them all in an option agreement for 13% of UPB for $10. Okay. For $10, I secured $574,000. Oops, sorry. There's the option agreement. I exclude, and I will put this in the manual for you guys to take a look at. So we put $13,000, secured $507,000 in the 13%, but it was actually the 3, whenever you look at, if we look back at here, let me see, it was over 4 million in UPB, 1.2 million in real estate. $10, I secured $1.2 million in real estate. And I had 90 days exclusive options and another 90 days after for non-exclusive. So if he found somebody higher, he didn't. Okay. We bought a couple of these. We wholesaled a bunch of these and flipped them to other people in Michigan, in Ohio. Where else did we sell? Chicago, Phoenix. We sold the ones in Phoenix all went pretty fast. Those actually went pretty decent buff stuff. But I made over $100,000 in wholesale fees by just putting this under option. Now, how are you going to have this happen? Well, you got to have a seller who's got some assets, low level assets that they're not marketing themselves. Like some of these websites that we see out there, people have these assets up there forever and they don't do anything with it. They're servicer, they're tired of paying for it, and they go from there. And so that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, taxes were up, but we made lemonade out of lemons. And that's one time we did that. We've done it a couple other times. Same thing. Hey, give me a 90-day exclusive option. Nobody can market this for 90 days. Give me your rock bottom prices, what you want to let these go for. I know this is your bad end of the trades. Let me put in an option agreement for $10. Now, I would have been really smart by making it a $100 option fee and having my IRA fund that $100, and then all the profits would have gone back in to into my IRA account, which is something you can do as well if you want to. But you're going to see these from like the people that have older assets, older tapes are bouncing around. But this is something that is it was a stupid deal, and we just got creative. I didn't have a lot of money, but it gave me time to go out and market, especially when sellers are motivated because nobody else is buying their stuff, or it's older, ugly stuff that doesn't fit in with their portfolio. And every bank, every hedge fund, especially every hedge fund, has a lot of stuff on their books. That's just the bottom of the barrel stuff that they want to get rid of. Okay. Questions about using your an option agreement, exclusive or non-exclusive option agreement, to outline it. Okay. And I think do I have the exclusive memorandum? Here's another, we found another, where is it here? Here's a Word doc and an option agreement for you that we put in there for you. Pull this off of this is a very simple option agreement. It's out of Illinois, but you can adjust it there for you. And you can add things to it. Like I tweaked in the specific word in 75-25. But that's a basic, easy thing for you to do. How often do these deals come around? They come around pretty often. You have to be the person that goes out and find them. All right. You've got to be the person that goes out and finds them, Fred. That's what I'm saying. It's important to go out and market. What do you have on your books you're looking to get rid of? What do you have that that is junk? Like I said, every hedge fund, every REIT has junk on their books, but that junk, one man's junk is another man's treasure. And so that's what I saw. I saw an opportunity with these 37. And actually, there was more in there. They actually had some REOs that, where we go here, that we flipped as well, that we kept that separate. Yeah, these are these 8. He had 2 funds. Okay. And so like, oh, look, there's a couple in Cincinnati. I'd love to see what these are worth now. There might not be anything there anymore. But these were in Ohio, Joplin, Missouri, and Gary, Indiana. These are REOs that he also had that we put on our option or separate agreement, and then we looked to sell those off. I think we only sold one of those. I think it was the Linwood Avenue in Columbus, Ohio is the one that we took down. Yeah, I remember that address because we had it for a little while. Okay. But that's an option agreement. A little $10 you could put, you just got to negotiate. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the kicker on this. It's going to come in value when you have a list in your marketing. People see you marketing. Sasha reached out to me and said, hey, I see you marketing. See you had classes. I may have a portfolio for your students. And this was actually pre-classes. I hadn't even taught my first note class yet. Or had I? Yeah, I'd actually told I taught a class in Austin before, back in 2010 when we took that deal down. But I was traveling the country at that time. I did this deal on the road. I actually was working in Taylorsville, North Carolina with my friend Jamie Harrington on this particular deal. And I was literally, what I do? Well, I had an exclusive option. What I went and did, since I had an agreement with him, I went and created one-page websites. There was a website called Postlets that used to allow you to, when you put up an address on there, it would pull up like all the other information from the county records, take a photo, and you could talk about whether it was a rental, and it would share it at all these other websites. So I spent literally 3 days creating 45 Postlets websites, and then I used that to market. I went out. I used it a lot. Yeah, it was a great website. I missed it, and then it got bought by Truly or whatever like that. But it was a really great website because you could have a portfolio, have maps showing all your other deals. But that's what I did. And what would you use today? Well, you could use today jumping on Craigslist in those areas, talk about those individuals, or LinkedIn or Octopus CRM or Facebook groups now would be one thing I would do to market those things all out. So that's what I wanted to rock your mind with. If I talked about the beginning with, I probably would have lost you. But basically, you're reaching out to a seller. Like if somebody came to me and said, hey, Scott, I know you've got 45 assets. Can I get an exclusive option agreement? Can I have 90 days to market? If you tell me what you want, and I can get that for you. Anything above what I can sell, what you want, is profit to me. Sure, why not? $10, I'll give you 90 days. Or I'll give you 45 days when we reevaluate the option agreement at that point. It doesn't need to be 12 years, but if you want to get smart and you're in a path of progress, you may want to go out and slap some option agreements on some properties around the area of where that path of progress, because as properties get more expensive, it may make more sense for you right now. Hey, let me put an option around. What would you sell it for right now? If you net that, can I put that down for that purchase price if you give me 12 months to make it happen? Or 2 years to make it happen as I clear some things up. Look, option agreements are cheap. Yeah, you spend $10 a piece, but it's securing it. You're going to the county and filing that option agreement so that if they do try to sell it before that 2 years is up, hey, guess what? They got to take care of you and make it happen. My friend Tina Lotte out of Georgetown, she would do that when she was working on some fix and flips. She would get an option agreement first before she got under contract. And then somebody tried to go and sell the asset that, $50,000 profit. She got sent back to her. It took about a year because the title company closed. They disregarded the option, but the option was actually filed. So she had to sue them, but she got $50,000 profit because the option agreement out there. And that's one of the most important things you can do. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns out there for you, ladies and gentlemen? Matt says here, signing information as the finance market is going to be more turbulent. Plenty of great opportunities. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome, Matt. Here's the thing, guys. Yeah. We cover a lot of information today, this afternoon. Wholesaling is just a small part of the note business. You're really looking to make note investing something particularly important to what you want to do. Look, what's worth it, whether you're here on Zoom or you're catching the replay for the few minutes, whatever, you might want to take a look at our Note Umbrella, our WCN membership training. And what that is, I know there's quite a few people on here that are part of that, but for $97 a month, guys and gals, you get access to all of our online training. You don't have to buy the individual training, whether it's the virtual workshop, which is normally $997, Note Weekend, which is $99, Note Camp, which we host this year, which is anywhere from $99 to $399, or the wholesaling class, or the upcoming due diligence class we're teaching next month, or the calling bank training. $97 a month, as most people that are on here that are part of that will agree, it's the biggest bang for the buck. And we actually, you get access to all the online training. We do a Monday coaching call at noon our time. Guys, that would be one of the easiest things for you to do. It's going to get you access to everything that we do online. You can give me a phone call. We can walk you through the agreements. We can walk you through weekly, what are you working on deals. It's really a no-brainer at $97 a month. And love to have you. Noteumbrella.com is the website for you to get signed up for it. Basically you can cancel anytime for you. And the replays are only available for paid attendees. If you're on here on a freebie, congratulations. You got to watch it, or you came in late. I'm sorry. You may want to go ahead and sign up and get the replays by going to noteumbrella.com. That noteumbrella.com, the WCN membership includes replays to all our events. So you can actually go back and watch the replays from January's 3-day workshop, from January, February's 1-day Note Weekend training. You can go back to watch replays from last year. That's one of the beautiful things about it is $97 a month, like I said, gives you online access to everything except our one-on-one coaching. But you still can schedule a call with me once a month to talk about where you're at and go from there. Allison asked a question. How do you recognize a daisy chain? How do you prevent someone daisy chaining your notes? Well, you make them sign a non-compete. Okay? Make them sign a non-compete, non-disclosure. And here's the thing. If they ask you for proof of funds or LOI on the front end, it's probably because they're trying to go out and get a list for you. You recognize the daisy chain when you get the list and see who owns it. Jump on the county records. Do you own this or are you brokering this? Okay? You ask them that. And that's one thing. And if you ask for information, it takes them 3 or 4 days to get information back to you. It's probably part of the daisy chain because they got to go ask somebody and wait for them. Okay? How do you prevent someone daisy chaining your notes? Very simple. You say, no, if you're daisy chain, you will get blacklisted. I'll never send you another list again. So and that's part of when they sign their non-disclosure agreement, they say they're not going to blast this out to anybody else. It's got to be for, if you saw that one from Porthos or MIAC, I said that you are reviewing this as a principal buyer only. Okay. RJ, thank you so much. RJ says, WCN membership is a great value. Scott always over delivers. There's more info than you can handle. Yeah. You're drinking from a fire hydrant to get things awesome. Larry, awesome. Thank you, bud. Thanks for saying this is awesome for you. Any other questions, comments, concerns, everybody? That's about all I have for our wholesaling mastermind, wholesale master class on wholesale and notes here for you. A lot of information here today. Roughly 5 hours of information, just over 5 hours, just under 5 hours of information. It was a lot. That was a lot of information, but guys, I think you know that I always try to over deliver to you to make sure you get a lot of information. Jamal, thank you for saying nice. We love the WCM. Thank you so much. I'm going to type in here for those that are still watching here. Type in the link here so that you can get signed up for it. But it's well worth it. If you get signed up for the WCM membership at noteumbrella.com, one of the things I want to do with you guys is I always love to schedule a phone call, see where you're at, what you're looking for, and help you on the right path. We've had somebody reached out to me, signed up for it, and they were looking for seconds, and they were thinking they were going to get seconds at such a huge, huge discount like it used to be 12 years ago. That's not the case. You also got to know the pricing model. I know we sat down with a few folks who are making really, really low offers when there's a ton of equity. And I'm like, listen, let's work through some numbers. Let's point you in the right direction. And that's what I want. I want you guys to close. Plenty of deal flow to go around. I think I shared with you there for you. But if you're not a part of the WCN membership, do so going to noteumbrella.com and get signed up today. $97 a month. It's a small investment. If I can't make you or save you $97 a month or add that much value to you in your business, I'm doing something wrong. I shouldn't be teaching. And yeah, it's definitely a million percent worth the monthly fee. Thank you, Kay. Good to see you there, fellow Austinite there. Kay says the WCN is always a wealth of knowledge and information. Thanks, Scott. You're welcome. For those that joined us late, for those of you guys that are in the WCN crew, we'll have the replays up in the Basecamp group for you guys probably by tomorrow. For those that aren't a part of that you did pay for the class, we'll have an email out to you guys by tomorrow afternoon with either tomorrow or Monday with access to the replays and the manual. Obviously, there'll be a link in the replays there for you to be able to download the manual, the forms, the contract. I mean, heck, that alone is worth the $97 a month. Hey, I need a form or I need something to use. We've got a lot of stuff there. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for coming on and attending our masterclass. It was valuable for you. Hey, get signed up. If you're already signed up, do me a favor. Hey, go on over to Note Nation Facebook group and say, hey, the wholesaling class was awesome. And we'll get the replays out to you guys in the next day or so. But otherwise, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday. And we'll see you all at the top, everybody. If there's no other questions, we'll let you go. Go rest that voice. Yeah, I started to go bad, Anthony. You're right about that.